You know that moment when you're introducing two friends and suddenly, poof, the name vanishes from your mind? Last week, I was at my grandson's birthday party and I went to introduce my neighbor to my cousin, and I completely blanked on my neighbor's name, and we've lived next door to each other for 12 years. Now, if that's ever happened to you, and let's be honest, it happens to all of us as we get a little older, I want you to know something important. Forgetting names doesn't mean your memory is failing. In fact, there are simple, science-backed tricks to fix this problem starting today. So let's talk about why this happens, and more importantly, how to stop it. Here's why names slip your mind, and it's not what you think. Here's the truth. Your brain isn't a filing cabinet where names get lost. The problem isn't storage, it's attention. When we meet someone new, we're often distracted by their smile, their handshake, or what we're going to say next. The name goes in one ear and, well, you know the rest. But here's the good news. Memory champions and neuroscientists agree that with the right techniques, you can dramatically improve your name recall at any age. And the first tip is so simple, you'll wonder why you haven't been doing it all along. Tip number 1, the power of the pause, and why rushing is your worst enemy. Let me tell you about my friend Martha. She used to panic at social events because she'd forget names immediately. Then she started doing one thing differently. When someone says their name, she pauses for just 2 seconds, no rushing to the next thought. In that pause, she does two powerful things. First, she really listens to the name. She doesn't just hear it, she really listens. She might even repeat it softly. "So nice to meet you, Linda." Second, she looks at one distinctive feature, Linda's bright blue glasses, for example, and makes a silly mental connection. Linda in the blue glasses becomes Blue Linda in her mind. Sounds childish? That's why it works. Try this today. Next time you meet someone, pause, repeat their name out loud, and link it to something visual on the person's face. Just pick the first feature that you notice about the person's face. You'll be amazed at how much easier it sticks. Tip number 2, turn names into stories because your brain loves a good tale. Now, what about names that are harder to visualize, like Mr. Thompson or Dr. Patel? This is where storytelling saves the day. My grandfather remembered his doctor's name by picturing Dr. Hammer literally hammering a nail into his knee. Don't worry, he was an orthopedic surgeon. Here's how you can do it. Take the name and break it into sounds or meanings. Thompson might become Tom's son. Picture a little boy who looks just like Tom Hanks. Patel might make you think of a patella. That's your kneecap. So imagine Dr. Patel gently tapping your knee. The sillier the story, the better your brain will hold on to it. I know this feels playful, maybe even a little ridiculous, but that's exactly why it works. When we attach emotion and imagery to a name, it moves from your short-term memory to long-term storage. Try it this week and watch what happens. Now, these first 2 tips will help you capture names in the moment. But what about names you've known for years that suddenly slip away? That's where tip number 3 comes in. A simple daily habit that strengthens your entire memory system. We'll dive into that next. Last month, I ran into a lovely woman at the grocery store. She waved excitedly, called me by name, and started chatting about my tomato plants. What was the problem? I couldn't for the life of me remember her name. I smiled, nodded, and then panicked when she asked, "You do remember me, don't you? Sound familiar?" Here's what I've learned since then. Remembering names isn't just about the moment you meet someone, it's about what you do afterward. And that brings us to our 3rd tip, a simple trick neuroscientists say can strengthen your memory by up to 30%. Tip number 3, the 30-second secret for long-term recall. Let me introduce you to Bob, a retired teacher from my gym. At 68, he could remember all 120 of his former students' names, while I struggled to recall what I ate for breakfast. His secret? Every time he met someone new, he took just 30 seconds later that day to replay the moment in his head. Not just the name, but the whole scene, the person's face, where they were, even what they were wearing. Here's why this works. Your brain consolidates memories while you're awake, not just when you sleep. By mentally revisiting a name within a few hours, you're essentially hitting the save button twice. Try this today. After meeting someone, set a reminder on your phone for later. Even just recall Linda, blue glasses. When it pings, close your eyes and reconstruct the meeting for 30 seconds. Bonus, say their name aloud again. Looking forward to seeing Linda at book club. And as in tip number 2, make a picture out of their name and associate it to facial feature of the person that stands out to you. Bob calls this his mental scrapbook. After a few weeks, you'll notice names sticking without the reminders because you've trained your brain to treat them as important. Tip number 4, stop telling yourself this memory-killing lie. Now, let's talk about the phrase I hear all the time, the one that's secretly making your name recall worse. I'm just bad with names. Every time you say that, you're giving your brain permission to forget. Psychologists call this a self-limiting belief, and it works like a self-fulfilling prophecy. My neighbor Edna used to introduce herself with, "Forgive me if I forget your name. I'm terrible at this." Then she wondered why she never improved. Once she replaced that with, "I'm working on remembering names better." Something amazing happened. Within a month, she went from forgetting 9 out of 10 names to recalling 7 out of 10 just by changing her inner script. So here's your assignment this week. Catch yourself when you say or think, "I'm bad with names." Replace it with, "Names are important. I'm getting better at remembering them." Notice how this small shift changes your focus and your results. Because here's the truth, your brain is capable of incredible recall at any age. You just have to convince it that names matter. Now, let's put all these tips together into a simple system you can start using today, one that turns these tricks into effortless habits. That's where the real magic happens, and we'll explore it next. A few weeks ago, I got an email from Doris, a 72-year-old friend of mine who said she'd avoided social events for years because she was embarrassed about forgetting names. I went over these techniques with her. She had emailed to tell me that she had tried the techniques I suggested, and something remarkable happened. At her granddaughter's wedding last month, she remembered all 23 names in the bridal party. That's the power of these methods. They're not just tricks, they're ways to reconnect with the people who matter most. So let's bring all 4 tips together into a simple system you can start using today. I call this the name remembering workout, and it takes just 5 minutes a day. Think of this like a morning cup of coffee for your memory. Here's how it works. First thing in the morning, while your tea or coffee brews, take 5 minutes to review yesterday's names. Tip number 3's 30-second replay. Practice visualizing. Tip number 2's storytelling with any names you'll encounter today. Say out loud, "I'm getting better at remembering names every day," from tip number 4. Then, whenever you meet someone new, pause. That's tip number 1. Repeat their name immediately. Make your mental connection. And that's it. This routine takes less time than brushing your teeth, but the payoff is enormous. Because here's what changes when you remember names. People light up when you greet them. They feel valued. And suddenly, you're not just that nice senior. You're the remarkable person who makes everyone feel seen and important enough to be remembered. I want to talk about the ripple effect of remembering now. Last month, I watched my friend Sam, who's 68, work a room at our community center. He used these techniques, and something magical happened. When he said to the shy new widow in the corner, "Good to see you again, Margaret," her whole face changed. You could tell it made her feel special to be remembered. This isn't just about memory, it's about connection. Every name you remember is a bridge to someone else's heart. And at our age, those bridges matter more than ever. Now it's your turn. I want to hear your stories. Try these techniques this week. Then come back and share in the comments. Which tip worked best for you? Whose reaction surprised you when you remembered their name? Hit that like button if you found this helpful, and subscribe for more ways to keep your mind sharp and your connection strong. Because the best memories aren't just the ones we keep, they're the ones we make together. Until next time, keep exercising your memory muscle.